So Burning Man happened over the weekend, and it became essentially Cannibal Holocaust mixed with a drug-infused escape from New York to get the hell out because rain set in. Mud became a very big problem. Celebrities were trying to get out. Everyone was trying to get away, and it all went to hell. I asked in the chat, I said, I put up a poll. I said, is what happened at Burning Man an act of God? I was like, do you think it's an act of God? So we're going to have to wait and see. Right now, 49% say yes. They believe
Let's
it's
hope
an act
that
of
it
God.
rains at Burning Man next year and the next year and the next year.
Forever. Just
so
wash
like
them out.
73,000 people, I believe, were attending this year. The rain caused 5 inches of mud to appear. No one could walk or drive through it. And then FEMA shows up, closes the gates. No one is allowed to leave. You have limited internet access. So can't even make TikToks crying for help.
It's like real Burning Man.
Yeah.
It's Burning Man turned into Drowning Man very quickly. There are people, not able to enjoy their drug-fueled orgies the way that they had hoped.
Poor thing.
So sad.
Yeah.
And we have a Burning Man ticket holder with us today to tell us about what you were doing instead of going to Burning Man.
So instead of going to Burning Man, I ended up being baptized.
Yeah.
It was not planned out that way, but
Not
it was
in rainwater.
It was an
No.
ironic coincidence, if you will. So yeah.
So it's like a much better way to spend your weekend than sitting in the mud with a bunch of people in their fishnets and rave clothes.
Yep. Yeah.
That is
Sorry.
crazy.
I know. It wasn't planned that way.
I was
Like,
laughing
that's
when I
what's
saw this
wild.
news. I was like, oh my goodness, Sarah could have been there, like reporting from the ground for us. But it's scary, and I also think it's so ironic that Burning Man, the entire point of the festival, right, is you're against the system. You're literally burning an effigy of the man. And then you had FEMA. You had the government come in to help your asses, to save your asses from a natural disaster.
And this is what's going to happen. Like, look, if you remember well, I guess neither of you might remember the 90s all that well, but
a little bit.
The FEMA was a cause of many a conspiracy theory back in the alien infused 90s, right? Like in the X-Files, FEMA are the bad guys. You don't want them showing up at your natural disaster. They're up to some shadowy, no good business, and that could have been what's going on here. The evil FEMA official. They didn't show up to Maui, did they?
The theory here is like the flooding wasn't so bad. It doesn't seem like a real cause for an emergency to be announced and for FEMA to show up. So the theories started spreading that this was actually about a plague outbreak of some hemorrhaging Ebola-like disease.
Yeah.
So TrueAnon on Twitter, very reliable source, says rumors on the ground here are that there's some sort of virus on the loose at Burning Man that causes boils, vomiting, and hemorrhaging. Apparently that's why they're not letting people in or out. No idea if this is true. Been in an RV all day. Source, I'm at Burning Man. They're not even letting helicopters take off from here. So yeah, mud is causing this. People are really freaked out. And then let's just play the TikTok from the lady talking about this virus.
This lady?
She reads a text message from someone at the festival.
The lady in the blue?
Kind of like a weird...
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna...
Most of y'all have probably heard that Burning Man was declared a national emergency, but there's some pretty crazy stuff coming out. So it was announced earlier that Burning Man was declared a national emergency because it was flooded. And so they sent in FEMA, which already seemed kind of like a weird reason to send in FEMA and keep anyone from leaving the festival. 73,000 people they're keeping locked in there for flooding. Now there's some new terrifying information coming out that there's a virus on the loose in the festival and that people are getting really sick with boils, vomiting, hemorrhaging. To me, this makes way more sense than flooding in terms of what their response was to the situation. This is a text from one of the festival goers, and he said, "Yo, just figured you should hear from me first. Daryl is crazy sick with something that has him coughing up really coagulated blood. Medic showed up wearing a full suit. No idea where he is now. I would stay inside your camper." And he goes on to say that an outside agency is putting up a fence. This is a different festival goer that said, "You're never gonna fucking believe it. They're saying it's Ebola." Freaking Ebola at Burning Man, guys. If this is true, that is insane.
I mean, I don't know if I buy it.
So as things stand right now, are people allowed to leave yet? Because this is usually the time when people are leaving Burning Man anyway. They just weren't allowed to leave during the time when it was flooded.
Well, like we had the thing.
People were talking about like how much food supply do we have?
Well,
Straight to cannibalism.
And our drug supply
when
is
you,
drying up.
More important issue.
when the drugs run out, that's when you
Yeah.
have to worry, because if people are artificially keeping themselves calm,
Right.
you have to worry about what happens when, first of all, like if you're there and you're on a bunch of ecstasy and you then have to go through the shitty come down that is an ecstasy come down. And then you do that while trapped in the mud.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You don't even want an ecstasy come down in your own apartment. You don't want an ecstasy come down at all, let alone at a time when you're scared for your life. Right?
Yeah.
Not fun.
I watched a video that someone made, like someone who was stuck there, and he had a YouTube channel, and he put together a video, and he was going up to people like it was a joke, as though they were not in a state of emergency. They were like, "Oh, we're having a great time. What are you talking about?" But that's just until everything wears off, and they realize they're stranded in the middle of the mud. Because how could you enjoy that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
I don't buy the Ebola thing, but I do think it's
yeah.
crazy that everybody
Maybe some STDs going untreated
Yeah.
for sure.
or like fecal matter in the mud.
Well, Elijah Schaefer posted this satirical tweet about being at Burning Man. He said, okay, yes, there's a ton of mud, sometimes covering our shoes entirely, making it impossible to walk. But come on, guys. A lot of things can crash a good LSD candy flip high at 11 a.m. on Sunday. But nowhere have I heard someone blame mud for killing the vibes. Also, mud does little to get in the way of tent orgies. Who doesn't like it a little messy? I got a UTI from some sort of mudworm parasite that climbed in my urethra, but I poured vodka down the shaft so the infection doesn't burn that badly anymore. No complaints here.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't go.
What would you be doing right now if you were stuck here? If you were
If I was stuck
over
there,
there.
oh, okay. So first of all, I probably would have hated it
Just
the whole
jump the
time.
fences?
If I was stuck there, I would have walked the 6 miles.
Yeah.
I would have done what Chris Rock and Diplo did, and just
Yeah.
walked the 6 miles and been like, peace.
They
Yeah.
escaped
Peace out.
Burning Man, it looks like. Chris Rock and Diplo hitched a ride in the back of a fan's pickup truck to leave.
One time when we were on tour, and the RV we were in broke down, and it was a super old RV. Like got it for very, very cheap.
Like a skating tour.
Yeah, like so, and like the RV broke down, and we just as luck would have it, we ended up like outside of like a place in Chicago that had like a vintage RV repair shop, which is a real thing.
That's extremely rare.
But it was gonna take like a week to get it fixed, so we were essentially stranded there. And the guy who owned I'm not kidding you, the guy who owned the shop let us take his truck back to Minnesota until it was ready, and then come back and then meet halfway to pick it up when it was done, like a week
What
later.
a nice guy.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
like isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like the dude's just like, yeah, sure. It's like 2009. I wonder if that would happen today, like in the world we live in now. Like now you can be like, I can track it anywhere it goes. Like you got GPS in it, but back then it was just like the guys.
I feel like especially like with the Burning Man crowd, it's not the old school crowd that it used to be. It's like all these like young YouTube influencers or Instagram influencers.
tech bros.
Jack Dorsey's
crypto
over.
bros.
Jack Dorsey just teleported out with his drug supply that just gives him the ability to appear one place and disappear from another.
Just going to Burning Man in 2023, no offense. Sorry.
I mean, there's people
It just is so bizarre to me.
There's people.
If there's anybody in the chat, by the way,
really-
who's been to Burning Man in the past, please tell us about your experience.
I saw Andrina in the chat saying that she said Burning Man's fun, drugs or not. So like I think there's people that disagree with you. There's people that would say
It's
that
not
it's a
a
good time.
requirement. I mean, like, I think especially like it used to be this cool thing. Like, still, I think when I was growing up, I got tickets originally because for someone else, and I put them on my card. And then I was kind of back and forth about wanting to go for the same reason, because it's just not what it used to be, and I think a lot of people don't want to let that go. And then when I saw how freaking expensive it is, dude, people want to charge you $10,000 to rent their RVs for a week to go to Burning Man. So it's not like like scrappy, let's go and
It's not about
stand up
burning the
against
man if you are the man.
Exactly. It's a bunch
The
of
man
people
are the
who pretend-
attendees at Burning Man.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people who want to cosplay as anarchists for a week or two.
But it's just so funny how these same people, I presume, were the ones rejoicing about these submersible deaths because these were rich people. So, I guess they deserve to die a horrific death.
Right.
They're the same ones being like, it's so disgusting that people are rejoicing in our suffering while we're trapped here in the desert. Like, I'm rejoicing in your suffering. I admit it. But it's because you went there to be a hedonist.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
And
not-
burn the
that's not
man
good.
while
That's like-
being the man.
I've been back and forth about that because I was telling Brett earlier, I was like, I feel bad for whoever bought my tickets. I hope they're okay.
So someone
Missed
did buy them
opportunity-
after all.
Yeah, people did buy the tickets.
Okay.
And then I was like, it was a missed opportunity to give the tickets to possibly my enemies. But then I was like,
Then
I'm
you're like,
joking.
I love the idea that you have enemies. That's my favorite part, is that you have enemies at all.
Ideological enemy.
How does a Sarah have an enemy anyways?
Okay. In hindsight, like, obviously I'm joking, and like really truly, like, I'm glad that nobody I know or like myself didn't end up there, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. But I get what you're saying in terms of like it is a little satisfying that these people kind of got what they, not what they deserve, but a taste of reality. They got a reality check at Burning Man. And
I mean, hopefully some of them sense the irony in burning the man when the government agency had to go in and scoop you up.
yeah, and you have to
from
stay in your
certain
$10,000 a week trailer to stay safe.
I don't know if I could say that I would ever enjoy anyone suffering.
Well,
that's
yeah,
that's a bit much.
that's not what that's definitely not what I'm
Well,
saying.
maybe they're not
but-
even suffering because a lot of them are making videos like, "Hey, we're fine. We're just partying in the mud like normal."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're, look at the rainbow.
Then
Ooh,
I
double
say,
rainbow.
Yeah,
good
obviously,
for
like,
them.
I do genuinely, like, in a way, feel bad for the people I sold my tickets to.
I want
and
to
I'm
play
like,
the other videos that we had of them coping.
okay.
Hold please.
reason to.
That was the other one from that same.
Yeah.
Most of y'all have
Hold,
probably
please.
send in FEMA.
Okay, here we go.
So we're okay. I think that the news is saying that it's. So we're okay. I think that the news is saying that it's pretty bad out here. It is. There's mud. You can't really walk or drive. We have Wi-Fi for a moment, so I'm posting this. This is how Pega and I look right now. Yep, no shoes because it's really hard to walk with shoes.
I love that they also
My
just
boots
don't
are
have normal
like 5
clothes
inches,
to wear.
and then the mud became 5 inches, so I was kind of on stilts. But yeah, as part of this update, we are not allowed out of the playa. The gates are locked. We're
So they
okay.
fenced them
we have
in?
enough
That's what I
tuna
don't
for a
get,
week.
though. Like, if they want
So
to
we're
leave,
okay.
why can't they?
But there's a
Ebola.
chance that Sunday is worse than it was
That's my
yesterday.
point.
All of our structures have fallen down, by the way. So yeah, we might not be able to leave till Tuesday or Wednesday. So off
So
the
maybe
map,
some people are
totally
still
safe.
there.
Yeah, thank goodness we have a mod van, so we're safe inside of that. Yep. Sorry about the plug. I know we're not supposed to talk about commercial things, but yeah.
The strike.
Oh my gosh. See,
Life's
this
in
is why
danger.
this
Gotta
is what
be,
me
gotta
and Mary
mind,
were saying.
gotta mind the strike.
See, these are the
They're
annoying people I'm
insufferable.
talking
Like,
about.
they can't stop.
How would I not be happy that they're in this situation?
All right, sending love to you all. Stay safe, everyone.
I mean, to me, like,
And then this other guy.
what's gonna
he
happen
made
with
a-
these people is they will forget the struggling, and when it's done, they're gonna have great stories to tell about
Right.
how they survived this.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another guy that made a coping
In the same
TikTok. Yeah.
this one,
I haven't heard of that. And people.
Wait, what?
and it's a,
Ebola? Okay.
I don't know where it is.
I work here on the playa, in the hospital.
Now I'm confused.
This
'cause
one?
I can't. I'm hearing things, but I can't see things.
that one, the one that Elijah Schaefer posted.
Yeah, I think so.
Excuse me.
This one.
Is this a vibe? Everyone's just kind of standing awkwardly.
Is this after it got rained out?
Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely still some drugs there. They're fine. They're fine.
But there was another video. There was another video there.
I didn't see it.
They're gonna have these stories of survival just because they lasted through like 3 inches of rain and,
Yeah.
and some mud. Maybe it's not as bad as the
This
media is
one.
making it out to be.
No.
Not that one?
Well, I guess never mind.
Yeah. They'll have a story to tell.
I don't really understand why it was like deemed a national security though, and no one's really. I don't think.
Yeah,
anyone
why? I
else
want to know why
really gets
FEMA.
it.
I want to know why FEMA's there.
Brett, it was the one that Libby posted.
I have it here. Here we go.
We got 3/4 of an inch of rain.
Travel is impossible.
And there's about 70,000 people
3/4 of an
stranded on a
inch?
barren
That's
lake bed.
nothing.
But fortunately, burners are badass and brought all the supplies we need. Or most of us.
We got people who came by bus camped on the edge of the city.
They're in pop-up tents and at risk of getting hypothermia. But we don't need outside help. We're going to bind together,
Get radically self-reliant, dry out the furniture.
okay.
and keep the party going. The alternative is to fall into despair, roll over, and die. And we all have a choice in how we're going to handle this. So everyone open up your Starlink satellites so people can communicate with their families. Make an expedition to the edge of the city with food and water. And don't fight anybody because we're all in this together. Bury those negative thoughts in gratitude for your life because a couple people didn't make it last night. And know that we're all going to clean
Yeah.
up this mess and get out of here. This is the hand we were dealt this year, and together
There
we're
is
gonna
at
get through
least
it.
one death.
Drowning man.
Okay, so the part about burying your I actually kind of like the part about the gratitude part, even though it's a little bit cheesy. But it's like
Super cheesy.
at a certain point, you have to accept your situation,
Right.
and just survive.
Yeah.
Someone said it's a Starlink ad.
Yeah.
I can understand though it being a national emergency because of all the people in the tents.
Okay.
Because they, like he said, actually they are at risk of hypothermia and probably a lot of other things. So maybe that's why.
Trench foot.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happened at it's not Woodstock, but there was like there was a documentary about it on Netflix about this huge concert they did in like the early 2000s or late 90s, and like Limp Bizkit was there.
Wasn't
and
it-
people
Wasn't
Woodstock,
it
right?
Woodstock 99?
Yeah.
was it? It may
Yeah.
have been. And like people were pissed and they ran out of water.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people got sick because like fecal matter from the porta potties ended up getting into the water supply.
Okay.
So that's why I said earlier, I was like, I wonder if that
Yeah.
is what's happening there. With all the-
Woodstock 99 was like, oh, we're going to bring back Woodstock just like in the 60s. And then
Yeah.
it just went horribly wrong.
Look, I mean, if people are saying there's nothing wrong there, then there's nothing wrong. But it's a scary situation for all involved if they're stranded.
So I guess he's saying that 2 people died, but I'm only seeing a report of 1 death being investigated.
Yeah. There's going to be some lawsuits.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people die. Like people die at festivals every year, all the time. There's always at least one death.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm sure by now they have like their liability, their butts covered as far as liability.
Insurance. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't even get Travis Scott for Astroworld.
Yeah.
So, Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.